Tony Popovich got the USA game completely wrong, but it wasn't just in the lineup or the subs. I think he got it wrong all the way back when he chose the World Cup squad. Look, it's easy to bag on them after a bad performance, even though we literally just beat Turkey a week ago, and we can't forget that. However, the lineup's terrible. It is terrible. We can't argue about it. I know I've seen a lot of people defending him, saying, oh, everyone wasn't expecting the lineup from the first game and you're all happy with that. But outside of Patrick Beach from that first game, the only surprises Popovich did was what all of the fans already wanted him to do. I'm sorry, Irankunda starting, we all already wanted. Connor Metcalfe, we all already wanted. Mo Toure, we all already wanted. Paul Lockon, I am the biggest fan of. I definitely already wanted that. So you're thinking, okay, the only strange one is Patrick Beach, and he had an amazing game, which he did. But you also have to think, could Matty Ryan have made those saves as well? Potentially. Not sure. Maybe not, the one that Patrick Beach saved into the post, which obviously is extremely important. That would have made the game 1-1. But we'll never know whether Matty Ryan could have done the same job in there or not. I will say that was brilliance from him bringing Beach in, but the rest was what we all wanted. So I wouldn't defend him and say, you're all happy with his surprises. We were happy with his surprises because he chose the players that we already wanted him to play, that he wasn't playing in the build-up to the World Cup. Now, was he just not playing them in the build-up to the World Cup surprise opposition? Probably. That was a tactical masterclass. However, did he then potentially change them again for this USA game also to surprise them? I think he might have, which actually makes it tactical disaster class because, starting Volpato in goal would have surprised them, but that's not going to help us. I just think, look, when you have that winning formula, when you have that team that was so incredible against Turkey, just play it again. Or make a few alterations. The one alteration I would have made is taking Paul Lockon out. Even though I love him so much, I think we need to go a bit more defensive because of how good the USA's midfield is, and probably brought in a Jackson Irvine. Because then, obviously Jackson Irvine's not a defensive first player, but he's a lot more physical than Paul Lockon is, and we don't really have any defensive midfielders in the squad. But when we had Metcalfe as a winger, wasn't really a winger, he was kind of a false nine / a third midfielder when we were off the ball. Volpato and Leckie both can't do that. So having them in meant we genuinely were playing a two-man midfield against a three-man midfield in the US, so they're already outnumbering us, and tough to say, I would say that's probably the best position in their pitch, arguably better than any of our players in midfield. So we've got Tillman, Tyler Adams, and Weston McKennie up against Ocon and O'Neill. They were always going to get outrun, and they did get outrun, and Tyler Adams was just able to sit and let McKennie just do whatever they wanted because they had an overload every single time. And McKennie's great going forward, Tillman's obviously amazing going forward, and we couldn't do anything about it because Volpato and Leckie both weren't coming in to defend them. I don't think Leckie's got the physical profile to defend them. And if Volpato did, then Mo Toure was the only one forward, as we saw throughout the first half. Now, on to, obviously just the starting 11 in general with the players they replaced them with. Volpato, very disappointed. I don't think he should be in the squad at all. The fact he's played in both the games is crazy to me, starting one of them, starting probably our most important one. But I'm not going to get into it really. Popovich clearly loves Volpato. Nothing we can do to change that. He must see something that I don't see or that a lot of us don't see. So that one, just let slide. It is what it is. That's the decision he made. Obviously, Irankunda should start over him. Obviously, he shouldn't really even be getting on the pitch over players like Mobile. But, Popovich sees something that I don't. Fair enough. Understandable. Well, not understandable, but we know why he picked him. He loves him. Leckie, I wouldn't have started, but I understand why he did. You can understand the rationale. He's a veteran player. What he's done for us at the World Cup. Biggest occasion of this group stage is obviously versing the USA in the USA. So Leckie coming in with that experience, he's not going to crumble under pressure, I understand. And he warranted being in the squad with that last game for Melbourne City. But we saw why with the injury, clearly it wasn't the right decision. I understand the decision, so I'm not going to bargain him for that. Everyone's saying, we'll act like experts afterwards. Not going to act like an expert. I was okay with Leckie starting, but clearly it didn't work out. Also, I would have done Leckie or Volpato. You can't do both. So with this one-dimensional thing, we need Metcalfe, so we have three in the midfield off the ball. And that's one of my big problems with our team. We set up to either defend for a draw or be the first team to score and then defend our lead. When we go down, we genuinely have nothing we can do. We have no way back into the game because we're getting overrun in midfield, so we can't defend. If we go to attack, we are so open because we're overrun in midfield. Also, our defenders are too slow to play that high line. That's what Paul Lockon, senior, obviously just Paul Lockon, at half-time saying we need our line to get higher. with those defenders, how can our line get higher? They're too slow to get back. And we should have been punished with, I think it was Balogun going through. Sakati got back, but it wasn't real defensive brilliance from Sakati. He didn't give up, which was great, but Balogun just stuffed up the play. So clearly, they don't really understand the squad as much as you would think they should do when they're trying to play a higher line with those slow defenders. I know Harry Souttar's apparently one of the fastest players at the World Cup. Don't believe that stat after what I saw. Obviously, he's one of our best defenders, but he's not quick. So that's my problem. If you don't have, as one of these wingers or a false nine, a player who can drop into midfield in a 3 when we're off the ball, we're going to get destroyed. Not just by the US, who's really good in midfield. So if we do get to those later rounds, which hopefully we do, we need to have Metcalfe in there, or otherwise we're going to get absolutely destroyed in midfield as we lost the battle today. Now, we get through to half-time, we're 2-0 down, and what I will say about the first half, you can definitely defend Popovic due to the fact that maybe it would have worked, it would have been okay for a 0-0 getting to half-time if Burgess doesn't score that early own goal. And I don't understand the Burgess own goal at all. I know that he's left-footed, but the fact that he's tried to clear that with the outside of his boot, I'm like, you should just be able to kick that straight back out with your weak foot. A clearance with your weak foot at this level, you should be able to do that. So I'm really surprised that he didn't do that, because I'm sure he can. And it was a terrible decision. It looked bad. And that obviously killed us because of the things I've said about how we can't play when we go down. That decision killed us, that own goal. Going for it with his left foot instead of his right absolutely killed the game. And, when you're thinking we've got a little bit of a chance because we can make these changes at half-time and get back into it, we get destroyed by a terrible set piece conceding at the end of the first half, which obviously I don't think was a foul. But when it is a foul, we're one of the tallest teams in the tournament. We shouldn't be letting that happen. To have us not react quick enough to stop that is heartbreaking. And then it was definitely over at 2-0. Now, the substitutions, half-time, obviously happy for Volpato to come off. Burgess coming off, I understand, because we want to get more on the attacking front foot. And I just hope it doesn't kill his confidence. I hope Popovic said it was a tactical decision and nothing to do with the own goal, because we're going to need him for these next games. Well, hopefully next games. Next games that we've qualified for at the moment. And then obviously the other side was bringing Toure off for Metcalfe, which obviously, as I said, when you go down in these situations, you need Metcalfe on there. So that was the correct decision to bring Metcalfe on. However, for Toure, it made no sense. Besides that, Leckie did have been pretty much ineffective. I definitely would have taken him off so that we still had an outlet up top. And this is where I go back to, we stuffed up the squad from the start. Because why is Mitch Duke not in there for situations like this where we're going, look, apparently Toure's not got a fitness issue or an injury, but he looks like it. Like, he was really good, but he looks like in the sense that we keep bringing him off really early on in games. In that situation, you've either got to bring Tete Yengi on, which we clearly didn't, so we don't trust him, or you bring Mitch Duke on. If you bring Mitch Duke on there, he can hold up the play. He's an option in the box when we cross it, because everyone's coming out. Fans, the coaches alike, saying we dominated that second half. But we just sound a bit like Turkey. How can we say we dominated the second half when we were limited to crosses? Crosses into Irankunda. Now, say what you want about Irankunda, probably our best attacking player, but he's not particularly a header threat. So I don't understand if we're going to be limiting to crosses, which obviously we probably weren't trying to do, but when we're getting limited to that, why are we not sending Souttar forward? Or, of course, why do we not have a header threat on there, which would have been Toure? Obviously, he must have a fitness issue, even though they keep saying that he doesn't. Or you bring Yengi on, that's a big body to get it done, striker, like-for-like replacement, but just way taller. Or you bring Duke to the tournament. Now, one of my biggest issues with Duke not going to the tournament in the first place was the fact that he was involved in about 50% of our goals leading into the World Cup. Not directly involved before the stat place wants to come in, but in the build-up of goals, etc., he was involved. And we know that he can do it on the big stage. Like you want to bring Leckie in, Duke could have done that as well with his veteran experience. Now, we make those subs, and as I say, we're limited to crosses. And then Volpato comes on. The only, I would say, good sub of the game, because obviously Irankunda and Metcalfe should have been starting. The only good sub of the game, he brings Volpato on. And it's a 4 sub, because Leckie gets injured. And this is the thing. Martin Boyle did everything to go to this tournament, played all of the games leading up, doesn't get to go, probably because Volpato was selected. But you also go, Leckie was selected over him, and he gets injured in 60 minutes. It's brutal. I understand why Popovic selected him, but obviously in hindsight, it was the wrong decision. Now, Volpato absolutely has to either start the Paraguay game or come on at halftime, no matter what the score is. Because, as I was saying, we pick a team that literally can't break down other teams when we go down, when their line goes back 2 meters, then when they get the second goal, then it goes back another 5 meters or 10 meters. You need a player who can break down a low block, not just a pacey player like an Irankunda. So I go, cool, Volpato's on, game changer. Oh, he's going to be so good. That's literally the first I've seen of him play. Obviously, I know he's touted well and he got 7 goals in the Serie A last season, but I didn't know what he brought to the table. And clearly he brings composure, he brings techers, and he just brings, a calmness that no one else had on the pitch, which is crazy at his age. So hopefully he can bring that in the next game because we're going to need him to. And it's a really tough choice for Popovic to leave him out. Honestly, if Toure's having these fitness issues, I would start Volpato. And if Toure's got enough to start the game, I would start him and then bring Volpato on at half time because we're going to need him. But also Popovic came out after the game and said the players that didn't start wouldn't have had enough to get through the first half. And I just want to kind of talk about the disparity between what the coaches are telling us and what the players are. Because the players keep telling us, well, Deganek especially, and I think Italiano, one of the other players, said that we believe that we're the fittest team in the tournament. If we're the fittest team in the tournament, how can 2 of our best players, Irankunda and Metcalfe, or Garia, I'm not sure if he was talking about Garia, can't start games? And we know that Irankunda is one of the ones he was talking about, because apparently he wanted to come off at the 45th minute in the Turkey game. So, as good as Irankunda is, can we afford to bring players who can't play 60 minutes to the World Cup? I think in Irankunda's case, potentially, I would say yes, because he's a player that, even if he's got that fitness fragility, or that fitness issue, he's got the star power that you need him in your team because he can make something happen on his own. Similarly to Volpato as well, if they were talking about Volpato with those subs. But it just doesn't, why would you not tell the players, hey, let's not come out and tell everyone we're the fittest team if our best players are struggling with fitness? That doesn't make sense to me. And if they are, maybe let's start with them, get through to half time, get the 0-0, and then, when you're looking to nick a goal and players are tired, you just bring on your other fast players. It doesn't need to be a fast players with immense quality like an Irankunda. Then you bring on a Volpato. Then you bring on an Abel Mobile and see if they can win you the game with a bit of technical brilliance, which obviously they can both do. Well, I'm not sure if Volpato can, but Popovic clearly thinks he can. I think Volpato and Irankunda, if you're going to start 2 wingers, have got to be the ones that you start in that first half. And the final problem is the refereeing. Obviously, I don't want to say too much about it. Should have definitely had 1 penalty with the handball, undoubtedly. Could have had 2 penalties, either the Irankunda one or Metcalfe. I think they're both 50-50. Obviously, Tyler Adams doesn't mean to take Metcalfe out, but he has done, and I don't know if intent matters in that. I do think it does. I don't think that one should technically be a penalty, but with the Irankunda one, potentially. We've also got Chris Richards who bodies him, and the commentator said it was great defending, which it would have been if he looked at the ball at all, but he didn't. He knows what he's doing. That should be a card. But, as I said, I do think you need to earn the right to complain about the referees, and we weren't good enough to do that. As I said, everyone thinks we dominated that second half. We didn't. We were limited to crosses. When you're limited to crosses with a team that doesn't have tall players offensively, you didn't dominate. You did not dominate the half if you don't have the players in the box to execute the game plan that you're trying to do. And if that wasn't the game plan, then we clearly didn't dominate because that's what we were limited to. Now, moving on to Paraguay, I've already kind of touched on it, but what do we need to do? Very simple. They've got Almiron out. Amazing. They've only got 2 good players now going offensively in Enciso and Gomez. What have we got to do? We need a player to man-mark Enciso and a player to man-mark Gomez. Just take them out of the game, especially Enciso. Because he's got that bit of quality. He's the player who can find that gap in our defence to get them a goal. Because once again, we can't concede early. Because unlike us against Turkey, Paraguay was seen to absolutely time waste. And they would definitely time waste against us if they get an early goal. And we've seen with a lot of our lineups that we can play at this World Cup so far, we can't do anything when we concede first. So I think goalkeeper, defence, keep it the same. Midfield, against a team like Paraguay, you do start O'Connor and you do start O'Neill. But obviously, we're bringing Metcalfe in on that wing again. We're bringing in Irankunda, and we're either going to start Volpato or Toure. If Toure's fine to start the first half, I actually wouldn't mind starting Volpato over Irankunda, because I think Paraguay are also going to kind of do what we're trying to do and try and nick a goal at the end. So I think you can start Volpato in that first half, and then when you want a bit of pace, you bring on Irankunda, maybe for Toure, maybe to go steal a goal. And then if we do steal a goal, look, he's got these fitness issues. He plays for the team. he won't mind coming off. He gets the go, he can sprint his lungs out for 30 minutes. Take Irankunda off at minute 75. Bring Yengi on, then you've got that outlet up top. If we've got that 1-0 win, he can hold the ball up and flick it on to our other players. Get those wing backs forward, get Italiano forward, get Jordy Boss forward. And then also, maybe bring Volpato off for someone like Mobile, and then we can kill the game. But let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if there's anything I missed. I do feel like I missed something because there's a lot of things I wanted to touch on, but look, it was a frustrating game. A lot of people have opinions, rightfully so. I think the lineup was completely wrong, and I think it would be a mistake to not just go back to the team we played against Turkey, with the one exception that obviously if Toure's injured, you bring him out for a Yengi or a Volpato, or if you want to start with more of a team that can break down a low block, which Paraguay might start in, which obviously they're quite defensively sound and they won't want to make the same mistake they made against America of conceding early. You might want to go with Volpato instead of Irankunda. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you thought. Did Popovic get the lineup wrong? Or did he get it right? Or are we just all talking in hindsight and going, well, if it all worked out, we would have said it was a masterclass. But in my opinion, I don't think that lineup ever could have been a masterclass.